Hi, I'm Jim Pruce, and welcome to this week's edition of World 5.0 Weekly Update. Our lead, GunFight. The effort to curb gun violence in this country was out front this week, with Gabby Giffords testifying and her husband, Mark Kelly, stumping for a reasonable approach to guns in this country. Appearing on Fox News Sunday, Kelly contended that efforts to achieve universal background checks for purchasing guns and closing the gun show loophole were issues Congress could address in a bipartisan fashion, while acknowledging it would be difficult. In the United States of America, we solve difficult problems, Mr. Kelly said. We can fix this. Mark seems to be confusing the historic American can-do attitude with our recent Congresses. Anyway, this requires more than just new laws. The Bureau of Tobacco, Alcohol, and Firearms has been completely eviscerated over the last decade by bullshit legislation promoted by the NRA. NRA, you suck. Many folks are more interested in curbing urban violence and black-on-black crime than an assault weapon ban. While tragedies like Sandy Hook trigger us, urban violence is far more common. It's clearly systemic, having changed little in over a generation. And this killing remains connected to poverty, drugs, and dysfunctional communities. David M. Kennedy, who directs the Center for Crime Prevention and Control at John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York, recommends a two-pronged approach. On the one hand, we need to change the basic dynamics of these urban areas to create new options and new opportunities for the citizenry. On the other, we need direct engagement with offenders to modify their behavior. It seems obvious that the real key is meaningful work and community engagement. Jobs alone would bring a whole new dynamic to these poverty-ridden neighborhoods. Combine that with an engaged community, and remarkable changes are possible. So who's in charge of fixing this mess? Oh yeah, we are. Thousands of Egyptians continue to protest the new constitution and policies of new President Morsi. Adding fuel to the fire is recent news of police brutality and abuse against protesters. These people have worked so hard and fought so bravely. It breaks my heart. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Let's not get fooled again. France sent over 30 fighter planes into Mali this week, again attacking. I don't know, insurgents? Should we call them terrorists? How about freedom fighters? How about an honest, non-empire-oriented media so that we can learn some truth? The crap sandwich we're constantly being fed is getting harder and harder to swallow. According to a study from the University of Missouri, Kansas City, children's brains are being branded early on in life, even before they know how to read. While we can't blame corporate logos solely for childhood obesity problems, there is little doubt that the association a child's brain makes with these logos could have an impact on their relationship with food. The children, ages 10 to 14, were shown 120 logos, 60 of them food-related. When shown food logos, the children's brain's activities was significantly increased compared to when they were shown non-food logos. So what's the problem? The corporations win? Everybody wins. Australia's still cooking, with record heat and brush fires. China's in the midst of its coldest winter in 30 years. Pakistan's been flooded with rain, and the past week brought an uptick in earthquakes. Fortunately, none of those devastating. The most glaring aspect of all this crazy weather? Abnormal seems to be the new normal.
On Wall Street's big banks, not only too big to fail, but too big to jail. Giant banks violate the law with impunity, laundering money, cheating homeowners, falsifying information, every trick in the ledger book.
Well, the HSBC settlement was a really shocking kind of new low in the history of the too big to fail issue. They laundered over $800 million for cartels in Colombia. Drug cartels. They laundered money for terrorist-connected banks, Russian gangsters. They broke basically every law in the book, and they did business with every kind of criminal you can possibly imagine. And they got a complete and total walk. No individual had to suffer any consequences at all. There were no criminal charges. The biggest financial scandal of all time, it was a price-fixing scandal where essentially some of the world's biggest banks got together and they conspired illegally to artificially rig the global interest rates. Basically everything in the world, the price is somehow connected to LIBOR, and these guys were monkeying around with this for individual profit, and they got, again, a complete and total walk on this.
Is that really the job of a prosecutor, to worry about anything other than simply pursuing justice.
If I bring a case against institution A, and as a result of bringing that case, there's some huge economic effect.
Think about what he's saying. He's essentially saying that some individuals are so systemically important that they can't be arrested and put in jail.
Tao is an ancient idea and symbol. It reaches deeply into Asian history, with roots in the Chinese I Ching and in Buddhism. As such, there are wide interpretations of Tao, especially with the evocative yin-yang as its symbol. At the center of darkness is light, and at the center of light is darkness. Or we could say, at the center of energy is stillness, and at the center of stillness is energy. Such a wild notion of the way stands in sharp contrast to the Western idea where reality consists of a bunch of disconnected objects and people struggling through time, marching toward their death. Yuck. The Tao includes several concepts in one word: the source of creation, the ultimate, the inexpressible and undefinable, the natural universe as a whole, the unnameable, the way of nature as a whole. Within World 5.0, we see Tao as life. We see the two elemental forces that conjoin here in this moment to make reality. On the one hand, stillness, awareness. On the other hand, energy, motion. This is the Tao. ArtsWaves kicks off its 2013 community campaign at noon on Friday at Fountain Square. It's the start of 12 weeks of fundraising for more than 100 arts organizations, large and small, in more than 25 communities throughout Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. Cincinnati's Big Eight, the Cincinnati Art Museum, Cincinnati Ballet, Cincinnati Opera, Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park, Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra, Contemporary Arts Center, the May Festival, and the Taft Museum of Art continue to receive the most ArtWaves dollars. ArtsWave has embarked on an impact-based funding which puts arts dollars into communities, and especially community art centers. Please contribute if you're able, or better yet, engage with one of your community arts groups. Please join us again next week for World 5.0 Weekly Update, where our in-depth feature will look at World 5.0 for our 5th episode. Peace out. Love, love.